All started with the great diaspora, journey across the seas where we landed here right after. Understand my culture, many of you never heard, but here I stand to tell you about them good old Gullah churn. My people in Charleston where it's warm and fresh with the sea breeze and the sweet grass rest. Grandmas on porches giving us their best while mama's in the kitchen stirring up the rest, y'all. I'm talking about them old Geechee boys. Talking about my Geechee boys. I'm talking about my old Gullah boys. I'm talking about them Geechee gals too. They always know what to do.
I was jamming. I was jamming.
Me too.
What's up,
I was like, yeah.
And for those who don't know, that's your girl Kyndra Joy with Geechee Boy. I was like,
that's that tune. That's what's up. I forget how dope that song be sometimes, you know. But yeah, that had me grow. So welcome, sis. How you feeling? We got the one and only Dr. MC Burns in the building. Dr. MC.
You know, anytime I'm in the presence of your favorite Gullah girl, Kyndra Joy.
Your favorite Gullah girl.
Your favorite Gullah girl. I'm in a good place. So I'm well. How are you?
I'm well. It's been a long day, but I'm still here, still breathing, and I'm grateful.
You enjoying this
very,
heat?
Very grateful. I am enjoying the inside of not being in the heat. Are you enjoying this heat? Is the question, boo.
I'm with you there. I'm like staying inside. I mean, enjoying when it rains almost every day. And you know, if I do get out, it's towards the evening, like 8 o'clock. After 8 o'clock.
Listen. When we finish with this, I'm gonna get me something to eat so I can have all that and more. With food, all that and more.
I see what you did there. Like, all that and more.
You saw that, huh? You saw that, all that and more.
All that
on it, yeah.
And more.
Sure. Yeah.
So for those of y'all welcome, just came in. We this is our show. It's called All That and More. Just
all that and more. Favorite Gullah girl. Yes, and with your one and only MC Stephanie Burns, be making it happen. So, sis, you got to introduce, we have an amazing guest today. You have to introduce this amazing person we got on the other side.
Yeah, I was going to read the bio. I'm not going to lie. I was going to read the bio. But I feel like I just speak from my heart. So, Annette Hollowell is a queen. And in her bio, she says she wears many crowns because that's what queens do. Yeah. They wear crowns, right?
Come on now. Come through.
But Annette, I met Annette years ago, mutual friends here in New Orleans, also part of our soul shifting community. But Annette's family owns Foxfire Ranch, a Black-owned ranch in Waterford, Mississippi. And Annette has been helping to manage and steward that land. And let me tell you, I went for my birthday last year. I went for my birthday this year. That land is amazing. And so Annette is really not only trying to assist her parents. I don't want to tell her whole story. I'm going to let her share some of it. In preserving this culture with this land. She's also trying to preserve the blues culture and start her own legacy. What does Black land liberation look like? And Black land reparation.
That's a thing right there.
Black so that's liberation. The thing.
Come on.
Right? And she has a podcast. And so we're going to talk about all those things. So we're just going to welcome Annette Hollowell to the show.
Definitely. Welcome.
Hey, y'all.
Hey. Yes.
I don't have my air horn.
Got that
and welcome. If y'all are watching, put a comment. Welcome, Kinke. Thank you for chiming in.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
And the crowd goes, wow.
So, like, we have been talking about you. Stephanie didn't want to put all your business out there. Like, I'm definitely trying to get to your ranch and this whole notion of like Black land liberation. I am so like geeked to hear,
It's
like, it very much. You got me like sitting up, like, and fixing myself. That's how sexy it is, right? I'm just like,
Great.
yes, just put your crown on straight, you know.
Put your crown on straight. You know,
Put it,
Put a little side, do a little tip to it. Thank you, Kincaid.
Yes.
Kincaid, looking beautiful.
Thank you, Kincaid. We give thanks, but let's talk about it. Let's dive into it, because you know, in where I'm from, they taking land, right? Yeah. They're putting extreme taxes on like land, sacred land, not just, you know, the corner store, but like sacred land, blood, sweat, and tears. Like, right. Let's talk about what you got going on and how we just need to be learning more and become like land liberators like yourself.
Oh, goodness.
I'm trying to get in.
Thank you. Well, first, just thank you for the invitation to have, you know, these kind of conversations. I think it's really important to tell our own stories. Like, I value other people's stories. Yeah. I always have. And I know the inherent worth and value of stories. And so increasingly in having to share my family story, I'm just always like honored by the opportunity to do so and the interest in hearing some of that. So that's been its own journey in and of itself. But yeah, I'm Annette Hollowell. My family is from Northeast Mississippi, what we consider the North Mississippi Hill Country, which is basically the foothills of the Appalachian Trace. So we are about 40 miles south of Memphis, and in between Oxford, where the University of Mississippi is, also known as Ole Miss, and Holly Springs, Mississippi, which is the birthplace of Ida B. Wells, the home of Rusk College, which is the oldest HBCU in the state of Mississippi. Like, you know, there's a lot of history in that area.
And let's just stop real quick.
Yeah.
And just give a deep breath to Mississippi, to the sip.
A few moments of silence for the great state of Mississippi.
For the great state of Mississippi. For all y'all who's scared to come to Mississippi, there's some amazing things.
I'm going to scratch my weave on that comment, talk about the sip. But no, the sip is a beautiful place.
Go ahead, Annette. Greetings.
I had to take a sip.
You see, Sister Nubian is on the thing. What's up, Dr. Sun? In the building. Dr. Sun in there.
But I'll give you a little background, just a little history on the land where we are. We're, you know, my family is from Marshall County, Mississippi, which is one of the blackest counties in Mississippi, one of the 6 blackest counties. It's always been majority Black. It continues to be. And you've always had high rates of Black land ownership there. So in 1918, my father's father, my grandfather, Albert Hollowell, filed his written intention to purchase these 80 acres of land. And in 1919, he actually purchased that land. And so my grandfather at the time, when he met my grandmother, he had already had a family. He had a wife and children who, you know, died in an epidemic and everything up that way. And so he was in his 50s when he married my grandmother, who was in her 20s. She was actually born in 1919, the year that he acquired that land. And they had 6 children, and all of their children were born on this land by midwife, my father included. And, you know, he remembers growing up there, and like, it's not an anomaly to have Black land that's held by families in that area. So you had Black landowners that had 20-acre plots, 40, 80, hundreds of acres. And we still have a number of Black families that are in that area that have maintained their land. And then you have a number of people who have lost their land due to people going away, due to taxes, all sorts of stuff, the speculative market, all of that. But we come from a legacy, and just in looking at my family, we come from 100+ year legacy of Black land ownership in the North Mississippi Hill Country. And so so that land, my father, his siblings grew up out there until he was about 9 years old, and his father passed away, and they eventually moved into Holly Springs, which is maybe 15 minutes up the highway. And the land was we let the land sit for 50 years mostly, all of my aunts and uncles and my father had a child's share, a child's portion of the land. And in the 90s, in the early 90s, and there are varying accounts to how this came about. My mother said she told my dad, we should just go ahead and buy everybody out. They had put the land on the market for a couple of years. No one had purchased it. And then my dad says a few months later, he woke up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. He woke up my mom and said, Ann, I just had a dream. My dead father came to me and told me to purchase this land. And she's like, well, whatever, buy the damn land.
So you won't listen to me, huh? You
right.
got to wait for your father to tell you.
And be like, listen to your wife, but let's just put it in a language you can understand. But in the 90s, my parents purchased the land from my aunts and uncles, and then my father was in the military for 28 years almost. And so when he retired in 2000, my family moved back to Waterford. And I headed on to New Orleans to go to Xavier, but they slowly built a cabin where we lived in. I was there during the summers and things like that. Built the family house, and then built the infrastructure that we now know as Foxfire Ranch. So it consists of a 5,000 square foot open air pavilion. We have an indoor banquet hall, so we can heat it when it's cold, cool it when it's hot. We have bathrooms out there, outdoor showers, and we've grown to have 4 cabins. And then we have another outdoor stage situation, a stage under our main pavilion.
Yes.
So we have over 13. Every year, a little bit by a little bit, we've been able to build the infrastructure. But it literally started with my grandfather, and before that, this is Chickasaw land. So there's so many stories. Yeah. There's so many ancestors in this ground out there. But it's something you can feel when you come out there. The land is beautiful. The land is peaceful. The land is happy. It works on people instantly, and then we just have the good fortune of being stewards and great hosts and capable of seeing what is needed for people to feel comfortable, for them to set down some of what they carry and just enjoy the culture, our music, our food, nature, good company, good drinks,
I'm coming.
That's what we do. Yeah, we are a place for celebration. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, when you drive into Foxfire, so you come down this gravel road, you pass the big house, and you go down to the pavilion. Annette, her parents, her mom, they gonna greet you like you gonna get a good country greeting. They gonna greet you, and Big Mama, which is Annette's mom, may be doing a high kick in the air, and then they gonna feed you. And I'm talking about
dancing, it's not like, oh, hi, and then high kick. It's like when the music starts going, she'll break out the high kick,
And then they gonna feed you. And I'm not talking about little food, I'm talking about some butter beans, some field peas, some okra, some peach cobbler, some fried catfish, some fried chicken, some moonshine, some wine. Her mom makes her own wine. Oh, no, I can't tell.
No, it sounds great to me.
She does.
Just the wine.
Share it with friends.
Moonshine is everything for me. Go for the moonshine. Yes, for the grandma in the moonshine. Yes.
Right.
Yes. So when we come and we get greeted, like you mentioned, like cabins and the pavilions and stuff, Foxfire Ridge, what type of events happen? Because I know it's sacred ground, right? So do you allow, what type of events do you even allow on this beautiful sacred ground?
Well, we're a really malleable space. When we first started hosting, you see a picture of our main pavilion there, which is a structure that my dad and a few local guys and carpenters, they laid the cement floors. My dad drove to Alabama on the weekends and picked up the metal tin and the beams. They erected it. That was the basic structure that we got started with. And we built that in 2007 in anticipation of our family reunions. And so because I'm really from Mississippi, that means that's 300 people on either side. My mother has 14 siblings. So we knew that we had big family reunions to host. We built that structure to host the reunions. And then afterwards, it was the winter. And we were like, well, what do we want to do with the space? How do we want to utilize it? And, my dad always had this vision of having a recreational farm, a place for young people to get out of the city and to be able to connect in the country and everything. And then at the time I was finishing up my last semester of undergrad at Ole Miss. I eventually went to law school at Ole Miss. So I was around for these pivotal years of planning what was happening. And we started talking about the Sunday evening Hill Country blues tradition up there. There were always juke joints in Marshall County. There were places like Junior Cumbings had a place. Junior Kimbrough had a place. There are places that you could go and you could hear music. People would go and play baseball on Sunday. Then you go and sit on the porch and you play the blues. And we are known for a particular genre of the blues, the North Mississippi Hill Country blues. If you don't know it, it's wonderful. Check out, like it's known around the world. It's good music. But I had friends who were musicians at the time, and so we talked about this tradition. And so what we decided to do is host a dinner at the house. We invited about 25 of our friends who are artists, musicians, music historians, just the whole nine. We fed them, we took them down to the Pavilion, and we shared this vision of kind of reinstituting the Sunday evening blues tradition, because by the time my parents had returned, that had died down for about 10 or 15 years. You could find blues and music and stuff happening in the different cities, but like Sunday in Marshall County, just it wasn't really happening. And so we shared that vision, and different musicians, they played that first night. So I can't remember everybody's there. I need to go back and just do an accounting of all who was there. But like Galel Kumba from Africa, Eric Deaton, Cedric Burnside, and Lightning Malcolm were wonderful Hill Country musicians. Cedric comes from his father is R.L. Burnside, who is his grandfather is R.L. Burnside, who is one of our grandfathers of the Hill Country blues and someone who's taken that music around the world. But these guys, they heard the vision. They played for us every Sunday for a month and a half to get us off the ground. And people who follow the blues trail come from all over the world. So in that first month and a half, very much word of mouth, we had an international audience, and we've been going strong ever since. We've been hosting Sunday evening blues concerts. The first 10 years, we did it every Sunday from March to Thanksgiving. The last 3 years, I convinced my parents to slow it up to second and fourth Sundays, because it's a lot happening, and we've grown to become this gathering place. So we host weddings, family reunions. We host a lot of quinceañeras, private events, so all sorts of different kinds of retreats. Increasingly, we're hosting more retreats, which has been a focus of mine, really like bringing our community of healers and activists and artists so that they know that this is a resource for them in the South, that you can come, you can be safe, you can be fed, entertained, you can be comfortable. It's quite civilized. You don't have to leave for anything. So that's a long answer to the question of what we do, but like really, people that have a dream, we're always willing to partner to try and pull that off and to see people like execute that.
And you know what I loved is, you guys did something for you first, right? It was a personal thing. Like, let's have a space for family reunions. Mm-hmm. And then you took it to the community that you were in and said, let's create a vision where we can do this, honor the blues. Mm-hmm. And then you took it outside and say, what other things can we do? Not only just for our Mississippi community, but for other people. Like, to me, just even following that path, it's such a great map to follow, right? Like, take care of you, take care of local community, and then where else can you do and expand from there? Because sometimes I think we have a tendency of always thinking outside of our communities, outside of our families, outside of ourselves. We forget about us, that we too deserve places and spaces to have fun and to gather and to be. Mm-hmm. So celebrate us.
Mm-hmm. That's Village Rise and say celebrate us. And so that's an amazing thing. So like, how can one find you? Listen, I'm already in my head, like for retreats. I got a couple planned for churn. Not women, but women's.
Yes, we love the women's, the children's, the babies. We love everybody out there. The funny thing about it is like all Foxfire roads lead to me. So if you submit something on the website, if you call the phone number, if you send something on Facebook or Instagram, it's going to come to me. So eventually I'll get back to you. because it it's part of whole, it's a lot to hold, right? But so it's easy to find me. It's easy to find me. If you reach out on any of the ways that contact us or whatever, you'll get to me. What's
the website, Annette? What's the website?
It's foxfireranch.com. And so we have a new website that we launched in the spring. Been working closely with really talented designer, just like artist, just incredibly talented individual, Aaliyah Danette. And so if you like the website, this is Aaliyah's handiwork. Aaliyah handles all of our social media, our flyers and things like that. So anything that looks good on our Instagram grid and all these other kind of things, it's Aaliyah's magic and Aaliyah's touch, and this intentional like process over the last couple of years of really just building, building team and like grounding in the spirit of what it is that we do out there, the intention behind what we do out there, and how is that communicated in a visual representation? How is that communicated in tone and color and flair and flash and stuff? So something I've loved about just holding this Foxfire space is how, people bring their own visions to it, their own needs, and they want to contribute. And so even us starting with our family and thinking about the reunions, it's always been this process of, okay, now open up, now expand, now open up, and whatever you bring in, it's what's needed. So we've been able to be a resource for our community because they, we don't lead with we know what's best. We lead with love. We lead with we know what's needed to hold folks, and then people know what's needed for a gathering, what's needed for celebration, what's needed for these other things. So we have some of our programming that we hold on to, and we make sure we keep in the, lined up, but there's so much that has come to us just from people being inspired by what we do, people just needing a place to be, and having a vision, needing like partners to achieve that. So
that's
and
amazing.
I would say that, one of the things, it's such a great place and space to what you're saying is to have vision. Because last year I went out to Foxfire, and that's where the vision happened. It's like you go, you experience, and that always says that just come experience it first.
Yeah.
Just
and
come.
Then you start to have I could do all these things. And for me, it was let me get my family out there first and have this birthday thing, which was so amazing. And the cabins are cute, comfortable and cute. And
you guys have horses?
We have horses.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to go. Can we go?
Look, open invitation.
I'm trying to. Can we go to? I gotta go out of town this weekend.
Look, I'm trying to organize some people to come up end of August because Tank and the Bangers are actually playing in Oxford, which is 15 minutes away from us. And so I'm like, can we organize a little New Orleans?
I can't do the end of August.
I know. Well, there'll be an additional invitation. We got shows every second and fourth Sunday, but I'm like, can we get the New Orleans little trail?
Can we get taking the Bangers out at Foxfire too?
I would love to have them out there. If they need a place to stay, I want them to perform there eventually. I've been dreaming it up for years. I know it's just enough time, but yeah. Anyways, that's just.
So I think the next retreat for Gracefully Mindful should be at Foxfire.
Yes,
we'll work. We'll work.
We're going to Cloudland Canyon Park the last weekend when we do the hiking and the waterfalls and all that other stuff. But if we can support, land liberators, Black land liberators, right?
Liz said Grassdale would bring the treats. Graysdale would bring the treats. And Liz came up there too. I'm sorry, Kyndra. I'm sorry. I'm not making this any better. I'm sorry.
No, you're not, because you invited Liz and didn't invite me for mindfulness. But it's okay, friend.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm not even gonna hate on them right now. We're gonna focus on Annette.
The time is coming. Your time is coming. I feel it.
No, but that's amazing.
We're gonna do all that in Mo out there.
Yeah, we plan on coming out there. I don't know if she told you, but I guess we just told you that coming out there.
I consider myself told.
Yeah. We're coming up, but it's such an amazing space that we're always looking for places. So I love horses, right? And so you can't find any place locally that is with us that have you have the Buffalo Soldiers, out in the East, they have their own. You have your brothers out here on the West Bank, you know what I'm saying? You got some in Chalmette, but those are their personal horses. So for you to be able to kind of like open that up and share, like I work with youth, right? Yeah. I would love for them to come and see like horses and learn how to groom for, maybe a day, just come out and do things like that.
Learn and it's just amazing. Impose your will on a 2,000 pound.
Yes.
You have to. Yes, it's yes.
Yes, right. It's a type of humility that goes along with that, right? And so it's amazing that you have captured all of that and kept all of that. Do you like consider yourself like a culture bearer at some point?
Well, it's interesting because when we were doing this in the beginning, it was just like, okay, we knew that this was a part of what we do up here. My mother's a fantastic country cook. Yeah. She's been cooking since she was a little girl. So, it's nothing for her to cook up a meal for 20 people or 200 people, she works magic. And so we really just like grounded in what it is that we know and what it is that's a part of us. And it's family, it's food, this music, which is something that, I didn't necessarily grow up listening to the Hill Country Blues. So it was this reconnection with that. Yeah. But, and so we've looked up and it's been 13 years and we've grown to appreciate, and I talk about my parents a lot as culture bearers. We've grown to appreciate their role as culture bearers because this is a place where we, there are a few things that I love more than being able to go to a blues show and to hear, say, Cedric Burnside singing his grandfather's song and then watching his daughters dance to that music and singing along. Like that happens. And there's so much of that happening in the Hill Country. There's so many musical families and legacies, the Kimbroughs, the Burnside. We have a fife and drum tradition from the Hill Country with Otha Turner and his granddaughter Sade Thomas with the Rising Star Fife and Drum Band. They continue this. So you're looking at this direct connection to West African music and sounds and music ways, like it's all alive and there. And so being able to hold a stage, being able to present a stage for folks that often would have to travel, get more love internationally than they would at home. When you have a space where you can perform for family and community and be there in your own place, amazing. Like that's good magic. So you was raising your hand, Kyndra.
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes.
What is fife and drums?
Fife and drums. So a fife is like bamboo cane flute. So this is a flute that's made out of cane, right? So you think about that, and if you listen to and see, I'm not the ethnomusicologist, right? So I don't have this academic leaning towards this. It's this is just what we do. You know what I'm saying?
I need that version. I need that version, not the other version.
Well, you can see that this fife and drum tradition. You find it in parts of there's fife and drum in Georgia. I believe there was fife and drum in the Carolinas. But it's definitely this West African connection and style of music, and so you can see that with what Sade has been keeping alive with her crew. And so it's literally it's good stuff. Otha Turner, fife and drum. Check it out.
I'm about to go find it right now. Well, after this.
You can think of flute and like drumming and drumming, and the flute.
Yes.
It's beautiful stuff. And it's all wrapped into this like rich kind of sound emanates from different parts of Mississippi. So.
Wow. See, you're teaching us already. You know. Right? Yeah. I'm like fife and drum.
And the culture is dope. It's easy to share it, and the culture is dope. It's easy to do what you can to support it and to disseminate and just to be a space where people get to engage with it and experience it. Like there's few things I enjoy more.
Yeah. So this is amazing. So we are learning about fife and drum, Foxfire Ranch. Anybody, well, I don't want to say anybody can come out, but anybody can come out.
Well, that's something that's been really interesting about us because even just thinking about our location, we are located just outside of Oxford where the University of Mississippi is. My mother retired from the University of Mississippi. My father attended, I attended, aunts and uncles, and Ole Miss is a place that's very storied because and very well known, and it's this flagship university in the state. Yeah. And it has this strong history of racial unrest and and is very famous for having the National Guard brought out. called in when James Meredith tried to integrate in the early 60s. And so our history is still very much with us. Ole Miss is still having to contend with it. You see dumb shit pop up. Can I cuss on here?
I don't know.
Okay, you can see dumb things that come up every few years that are very much related to how race and class and privilege and all of these things are navigated. And so something that has been interesting is that we early on in starting to hold the blues concerts, blues is a cultural expression. It's a music that has been taken from us and exploited in so many ways. And so you have a largely white audience that's going to come out and see the blues shows. It's going to be like, oh my God, these people, these sounds, these families, we saw them here. We've got these records. I've been following this forever. And, and so that said, we have our audience from the beginning has always been one that's very interracial, intergenerational. So you might find frat kids from Ole Miss, you might find bikers with their Confederate flags and their vests and all of that. And you'll find blues musicians and locals and Black folks and children and the dogs and whatever it is. And it's always been this place where people come together and it's like, you know what, they connect over food, they connect over conversation, they connect over the music, they're dancing on the dance floor. So it's, we do pride ourselves on being a place where everybody is welcome. As long as you're leading with love and respect, you're cool. We don't have no issues. We've never had any issues with that regard. And we host some interesting cross sections. We host these annual motorcycle rallies too. There's like the Diamondbacks, which is a white motorcycle club, mostly 99.9% white motorcycle club. And you see these guys, and if you go off of appearances, you go off of stereotypes, you go off of the stories and the portrayals of what's out there, you'd think that they would have no interest in spending their money at a Black farm. But they've been coming to us for the last 10 years, every year to have this weekend where they get together, they got their titties and beer, and they're playing their music, and they're getting out in the country and whatever it is. And we also have our Black biker crews, the Outcasts and folks that come through too. So it's like, we have the ability to host these gatherings where you have a cross-section of humanity, but also your own space. You can have you can put down all of the things that we carry and just be with your folks, So saying that everyone is welcome, as long as you lead them with respect, as long as you know how to eat this good food, you know how to show appreciation for this land, you know how you let it work on you. You ain't got no problems,
Yeah, leading the love and light. I got that. And Wayne just said, yes, you can curse.
Okay. Well, it might slip out, but I'm gonna watch myself.
Nah, you're good.
I have to cuss before 9:00.
So my mom used to try to cuss. Don't cuss on Sundays.
Lies.
So how do you do a lot for the land, right? You do a lot for Foxfire. You are a very intricate part of Foxfire. Mm-hmm. But you also wear so many other crowns. Like, how is Annette showing up in addition to just Foxfire?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Sis. Well, it's the last several years have been me really surrendering to this call and this pull around Foxfire, and really surrendering to this voice from my ancestors, right? And I've been praying for years, and I want to hear my ancestors more clearly. Like some folks, I always point to Burns. Like some people can, it's these very clear communications and downloads. And for me, it's been knowing that what Black folks need is rest. What Black folks need is space for celebration, to feel safe, to be restored, to be replenished, for fellowship, deep learning, falling in love with folks, and that's something that we can provide there. And that this is somehow my ancestors had this in mind when they procured this and secured it. And they knew that this was going to be a place for community. And so, but I've been shifting so much of my work and my focus to be on that. And it's very consuming. I could be doing this for the rest of my life and still find new ways of tweaking it or freaking it. And oh, now let's do this. Let's lay it there. Freaking it,
I'm sorry, my bad.
And Annette is fun to hang out with too. So it's not just the business side. She hangs out with you. The family hangs out with you. It's not.
We have a good time. We have a good time.
Definitely don't rub it in.
We have a good time. But
Kyndra, we're gonna have our own magic.
Yeah.
It's gonna be our own magic. It's gonna be very special.
It better be. It better be.
Huh?
You're gonna be singing on the stage. You know, we're gonna have your band up there.
Oh, yeah. You always got a stage to perform on there. Musicians right on hand to jam with. It's, you know, it's the magic always happens.
I think that's amazing. Yeah. One of the things that I heard you say earlier, you were just like a Black farm. So you consider your ranch to be like a farm. What are some of the things that you guys do? You guys grow things there?
You know, so we always maintain some sort of garden. You know, and I think that's the thing that's beautiful about Black land is that and when you think about Black land liberation, it's whatever your land dreams are. So some places are heavy farmers, you know, so they're growing food, they're getting food out to the community, they're setting up at farmers markets, they're getting their food into grocery stores or whatever that is. You know, that it can look like a lot of different things. For Foxfire, we always maintain a garden. A lot of times that's for family. That's some of what we cook in there. We share with neighbors and community. That's just what you do. My mother is one of these people that can cook anything, grow anything, cut anything, do anything, right? But like our focus is mostly like our focus is centrally is like we consider ourselves like an arts and entertainment venue, right? I'm an event venue. And so so we're always growing something, but like at this point, you know, there are so many businesses just involved with holding concerts and having this whole music and cultural programming, having these cabins now and being able to like just, you know, a site that people can come to on Airbnb or whatever it is and stay, be a retreat space, right? The food and the catering and the cooking, you know, all of those things. And then you want to talk about growing, you know, right? So, you know, and so we come from farmers. My parents picked cotton. My parents picked cotton when they were children. My grandparents were farmers and sharecroppers. So we're people who come from the earth, who work with the earth and everything. Currently, it's not it's not the central part of what we do, but it is definitely a part of it. And I think as added capacity, as more folks are coming in and like, you know what, we want to help pull some of these things out. We want to help build out some of what we're producing out there. I see that. I definitely see that in the future. It's just like I've got my arms around this much already, and it's like there's just always this room for expansion, especially when you talk about growing food and stuff. So yes, we always grow something. We have plans for orchards. Like my father remembers, like they grew everything that they needed out there, including you know, all the food and vegetables and fruits and cotton and all that stuff too. But they also had fruit orchards out there too. You know, so it's, you know, the
she coming back.
Yeah, and Liz say they grow people.
Yeah, they do grow people. I mean, but what an amazing place to be, though. You know what I'm saying? Where you have all this type of land. Like you hear people all the time talk about, let's go buy some land and create our own communities. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so every time I hear people like, you know, Annette start talking about her mom and her dad or her grandparents and stuff like that, growing stuff, I'm always thinking about, man, we got to get to the feet of the elders. You know, that'd be my thing. Let's get to the feet of the elders, like because when people say, when an elder dies, what is it, like a library closes? You know what I'm saying? Like a library is gone. And so when you got your grandma doing high kicks and you know, at the high, like we need to, like young folk need to learn, because we be waking up stiff, like dang, like my hip hurt. You know, and you get
her mama tried to teach me, and I still couldn't get it up that high. I'm like, how you doing that? Like, so really?
It's like we just need to learn. There's such like a gap, you know, between just knowledge, because even though they had struggles, you know, it was still easy living. You know, it was a struggle, but it was still like an ease to life. And to like to learn that type of joy or that type of inner peace,
that rhythm.
You know, it's like a, you know, it's
the rhythm of life, you know, of life. Singing
I don't want that rhythm. I want the I want that ease. I want make it smooth, man. Yeah, make it like that.
Natural rhythm, natural flow. Yeah.
You know, I always have a different rhythm in my head.
Yeah.
Always.
I know you be all someplace else. I be no birds come back.
You know, I march to the beat of my own drum. It's another drum in there. But you're right. But that rhythm of life, you know, I think in watching her parents, was really cool. Like they get up so early in the morning.
Wow.
Like early.
They work hard.
They work hard. And Annette is always like trying to get them to like rest. You don't have to do so much work. Yeah. Let me help you. Let's figure this out. But her mom and her dad just, you know, her mom inspires me so much because she gets up. She's a Gemini, so shout out to the June people. But she gets up early in the morning, get on that lawnmower, cuts that grass. She does so much. By the time I wake up, she has done like 2 days worth of work.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, God.
But you know what? They're like the mindset that like, you know, I work with you, Stephanie, so they be driving me. I told myself today, what is my motivation? Like, but I love what I do. But like when you look at parents like that, you know what I'm saying? Like they get up and they get up and they make it happen. And I think somewhere, and we talk about this often, like how parents didn't want their kids to struggle, so they didn't impose those type of not strenuous, but like values of hardcore work. You know what I'm saying? Because I work this hard. I want to provide the fruits of labor to my children. And, you know, the children don't necessarily understand the drive that it takes to get that because it just was given. And I think I understand the parents wanting to do that, but at some point it served an injustice to us because they don't get it. Like they think everything is handed. They think everything is, and when you fuss at them, or as Nubian would say, be firm with them. You're not fussing. You're not being mean. You're being firm. It's just like, man, you don't understand me. You tripping type thing. So I love to sit at the feet of the elders and listen and like, and it inspires me, like Stephanie said, you know?
Yeah.
Because we're tired.
Yeah.
Part of what I hear what you said too, Kyndra, is like there is that those ways that, look, this is my mom calling me now, I'm gonna call it back. These ways that, you know, they're some of the hardest working people I know. They're some of the hardest working people I know. Yes. And so I end up working hard because I see how much they put in. I've you know, like I've seen all the sweat and tears. Like they literally fenced that land and cleared that land, and just so we could get in it before we could even start building. Everything has been, you know, like just one foot in front of the other. It's been a lot of work to do that. And I think part of what we see too, I think, yes, there is some ways that like, you know, across generations we've lost, or, you know, or there's a need to be able to like mentor and teach how you go about stewarding in that way. But then there's also like the ability to receive support and help. And that's something that I think is that has to be cultivated. When I think about, and I look at how hard my parents work, when I look at their gifts and their talents and the skills and the things that they've learned from their parents and grandparents, you know, like those, I have some of those and I don't have some of those, right? And it's not for me to have to do everything. And it's not for my parents to have to do everything. So like, I see what I love about Foxfire is that I know it is a lot of work, but that like, there are many hands that have to be involved and making the biggest vision of itself, the biggest version of itself, the biggest vision of whatever it is that people have collectively for it. Like I always maintain that I don't have to control exactly what that is. I don't have to know exactly what that is. It's just about setting the container, setting the conditions, and allowing people to like build into that team, layer into that kind of creation process. And so I think when we talk about land stewardship, you know, and there's so many people that are going back to the land and wanting to, and there are real gaps in knowledge. There are real gaps in like practically what does it mean to exist on land, to be able to enter into land, to be able to sustain life, sustain structures, you know, like what that balance is with nature, you know, that balance between like things come in and fighting certain things back, all of that, you know. And so we need places that are, you need some places that are like boot camp and like, okay, you about to learn today. But you also need some places, I think, that allow you some rest, that allow you some settling into that pace of nature, some connection in those ways, so that you can explore what does it look like to be a part? What does it look like to contribute? What does it look like to hold responsibility in some ways? And so I'm excited to see how that evolves because I can't do it all. I don't want to do it. I got other shit I'm trying to do out in the world too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that this is like a microcosm of what's possible in other places. You know, we create the type of experiences, environments, systems, whatever that is that we know our folks need. So
and I just want to say, if anybody has any questions, please ask them now, because we'll be wrapping up soon. So if you have questions in the audience, please type it in, and so we can ask.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are you open to helping other people who are, like, let's say somebody's buying land and they're trying to do something with it? Are you working with people, collaborating, consulting with people to do that kind of work?
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, I end up working with people with a lot of different capacities. So yeah, I mean, a lot of my work centers around Black landowners, Black land stewards, people that are seeking to like deepen or, you know, enter into a relationship with land in this way. A lot of it is people that have family land and they're trying to figure out how to move their vision forward. I think something that's really critical in our family story and in a lot of family stories, when you get to Black land ownership, is that there's so many things that you have to navigate just to really understand what it means to hold on to it, what you have to do, how you have to strategize to be able to work with family to acquire, and then even like what I enjoy about our space is that, people have different dreams. You can have whatever land, dream, vision you want for your lands. And we need to see different models everywhere of what's possible. So Foxfire, we model something specific. We model, we wear this model of what it looks like to be this event and entertainment kind of space, right? I have to stop just saying that, because that's even limiting on what we do. But that's different than what folks are doing in SIP culture in Utica, Mississippi, or different than what they're doing at Earthseed in North Carolina, or different than what they're doing at Medicine Bowl and Green Mountain. And, and so it's important that we be able to listen to each other, listen to and understand the history of the land, listen to what people's aspirations are, what their challenges are around their land, and also be able to download and share what our experiences are, what our learnings are, how you have to learn how to navigate the local politics, the local decision makers, how you be a good partner with community, how you navigate these things and dynamics within family, and how you bring forward like your unique land vision, right? So I'm always down to have conversations with folks about what that looks like for them, what resources I know to connect them with. And then, like part of what I've been leaning into is, this land has been in our family 100 years. And I have been thinking about what is the next 100 years, but now I'm thinking about what's the next 200 years, right? And being in conversation with Black land stewards about 200 years. What does 200 years mean for your land? What are you doing now? What are you laying now? What seeds are you planting now? That have that in mind, and that's just a worthwhile conversation to be a part of and to be engaging in. So that's kind of a roundabout answer to your question, Burns. But like,
and that's something that was interesting, because I said that at my birthday party or gathering, was that the fact that your ancestors 100 years ago, had the vision to buy the land, that then became the place where I could bring my family and have a celebration and a gathering. Like, to just connect those dots and say that this would not have happened if they had not had that vision. And, so we are planting seeds 100 years from now, 200 years from now, in the work we do today, the decisions we make today. And I was, I'm always honored when I can come out to Foxfire, and because I say this to anybody who goes, Annette has already said it, the land is already taken care of. If sometimes when you go to places, hotels, Airbnbs, land, you may need to bring your Palo Santo, your Florida water, your sage, because all kinds of stuff could be popping off on that land. Not at Foxfire. It is it is in such harmony.
Woo. That's because of the stewards of the land.
It's a strong container.
It's the stewards. Yeah.
Annette has done the work. They have done the work. People, her community has come up there and done the work. The ancestors are proud and happy. The land, Mother Earth is proud and happy. And you feel that, like, it is in such harmony that all you have to do, because as somebody who works with ancestors, I'm constantly having to think about what I'm walking myself into.
Yeah.
And Foxfire is a container that I don't have to think about it. Like, I'm held. It is such a sweet, supportive space.
Yes, indeed.
Such a sweet, supportive space. So
come on now. I am held.
I am held. Like, seriously, held.
Like
and held in not only from the ancestors, but I remember when I was having like a bit of a melting point, because sometimes dealing with family, we were still trying to work out the logistics of who's staying where. And I was dealing with that and was having a little bit of a meltdown. And when I got back to the land, I just kind of sat in the car for a while, and I could feel being held there. But as soon as I got out the car, Annette just invited, was just like, come, sit next to me. Let me get you some wine. Let me raise your vibrations.
Yes.
Even that part of being held, yes, I was held by the land, but also about being held by her and her family. She's like, I got you. And she did. I sat there behind the bar, in the little kitchen while she was cutting up food. And
I heard that grandma makes a mean, what is it, a bread pudding? What you told me, Stephanie?
Traveler.
Oh, so this ain't grandma, this mama. This her mama.
Oh, Lord have
mercy. My mother, my children's grandma. So big mama.
Yeah, big mama.
Yeah, she cooks all that stuff. I mean, people love her greens and cornbread. Her cornbread was in American Airlines magazine. You know how they do the little things, little blues.
Yeah.
One time years ago, and it was just a picture of a skillet of her cornbread. And I had a friend that was like, I know this cornbread. But she's a fantastic country cook. Just, everything is good. And people be like, what's the best thing on the menu? It's like, well, you can't go wrong.
You can't. So I got a quick question. I got a question. How many, because we've been talking about, music venue and cabins and all the other stuff. How many people can actually sleep at Foxfire? Can you hold?
Yeah, so we have the 4 cabins. We also have our indoor banquet hall that we are renovating in the next month, and we'll be building in another kind of cabin space in there, because all of our cabins, it's a simple layout, 20 by 20 square feet, right? So it'll ultimately be about 5. So I always say, and it's, you got to be pre-COVID conditions, post-COVID conditions.
Yeah.
A situation where people are sharing indoor sleeping space and everything. 16. You can sleep between, I'd say you could sleep between 16 to 20 pretty comfortably. And that's if you have some double occupancy going on. And then, we have plenty of great space for primitive camping.
Yeah.
We have, we have the pavilion. If people are like, I don't want to be out in the grass, I got my tent stuff in this kind of wedding shelter that we use. That's also a space that doubles well as a little campsite for folks. So, there's the ability to, I think, to really come out all indoors. Now, if you, we had a family weekend out there a few months back, and it was they had the teenage cousins. And so it was 6 of them. And so this 6 cousins slept in the banquet hall, and we got cots and air mattresses and all of that. So you get into that, you could sleep even more people, right? We're not far from Holly Springs or Oxford. So there, people are like, oh, well, I want to hang with y'all during the day, but I need a hotel up is there too. We're 5 miles from Walkoxie State Park, which is the only state park that's managed by a Black woman. And they have some cabins there. They're a little older, and they, a lot of public infrastructure needs some, public investment to bring things back up to speed. But a lot of folks there, we direct people there a lot when we have guests coming in. And then we have a little network of folks and places that we direct people to if we have some overflow. So
I love the networking.
And those places send us people all the time when folks are like looking for something to do on a Sunday evening. You know?
Yeah, no, I love the networking. That's so beautiful. That's like a beautiful thing.
So we can host. We can host.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah,
that's what we need to know. We need to tell the people so when they start planning, right? We need to go to Foxfire. We're always talking about supporting Black businesses, and I think sometimes we forget that we're in that business too. Like I think people forget that we do everything. Yeah. Like ice hockey, tennis, like fishing, alligator hunting, like we do it all. Right. And so we just want to make sure that people have the right information, right? So they can call you up and be like, yo, Annette, I need this, and that. Because that was a personal question, because I'm trying to figure out how many people I can fit at your I gotta use
absolutely. And we've done it enough to be like, you know what, y'all don't need to do that. Or like maybe y'all should bring it down a little bit, like, oh, you don't need to prepare all of this, you don't need to, like, we're good at kind of helping you figure out what things you have to navigate for have people be comfortable, have what's needed, and you know, like we've done it enough to be able to give you some pointers. So
and some of the cabins have the bunk beds, and then like in the cases with my family, we couldn't all, you know, because of COVID, we were all kind of trying to figure it out. So Annette had recommended this cottage that was down the road. So, you know, we had all the 4 cabins, and then there was also the use of the cottage, but everybody was comfortable. Everybody was comfortable and felt great.
Come on with the retreat. Come on then.
We coming. No, we coming.
Just if you send to the website, you send something to the website, it'll come to me. So I'm happy to talk through dates and brainstorm and hear what your vision is for it, because that's just what we do. And
definitely, I'm calling.
I'm hosting different groups. Yeah.
And then Nubian says she's thinking of I am thinking now of a retreat. She about to make up a retreat to come to you, baby. She won't even have nothing planned. She's thinking of one right now.
But that's what people do, though, right? They happens like that too. Figure it out. They're like, you know what? We're just gonna do this because I've been like, festivals. Oh, I'm about to do the Ancestor Apprenticeship.
Oh yeah, we're doing everything at your space at the Foxfire. Like, you know, Stephanie's just like, oh yeah, you gonna go out there? You gonna host some things? We go get she done planned all type of stuff.
Yeah. Let's get it, y'all. Let's get it, because that's what it's there for. That's what we're here to do. You know, and like y'all executing your vision is like just helps us, like, you know, it's just aligned with what we do, you know. And so I love it when people bring stuff and it's like, could I possibly do this? Would it be? Is this possible? What about that? It's like, come on, alignment. Come on, bring it through, stack it up. So,
this is amazing.
Think about us having a talk show there and interviewing some of the people in Mississippi that Annette is talking about, some of the people that's with the blues, the Black woman that owned the state park. You know, there's so much that's happening there. Michael said, we already know you're going, So, you know, welcome everybody. Thanks everybody for being here. And now, Annette, I do want to ask you before we wrap up about your podcast.
Oh, you got a podcast?
Well, you know, so for the last 3 years, I've been, so I'll back up. So Free for All is a wonderful storyteller, podcaster, musician, composer, just dope individual. And a friend connected us about 3 years ago because Free was finishing up their documentary studies program at Duke University, and they needed a subject for their work, for their podcast course. And so we had a long lunch one day, and they were really wanting to talk about Black legacies and family. And so we connected. Wow. We had lunch one day that went on for like 3 hours. And then ever since then, we've just been rolling tight, and we've been recording for 3 years. And so Free has just been recording on trips coming up to Foxfire for a whole host of different events. It's been festivals, concerts, just rest time, ritual time, funerals, the whole nine. and we've been recording for 3 years, and so we recently finished the pilot episode we have 7 episodes in mind. We've got it all mapped out because we've recorded so much stuff, and we're still recording. But right now it exists as like a pilot episode that's on SoundCloud. It's called "We Are the Promised Land." It's on SoundCloud, and so there's just that one pilot right now, and we want to use that and start. We're going to start sharing that in the next couple of months to start to try and raise some resource, because what's really envisioned is multimedia storytelling with it, because we are a music venue. If you go on YouTube and you look up Foxfire Ranch, you'll see hundreds of videos from concerts that have happened there over the years that people, our customers, audience, people that have been taking for so long, but that it just highlights the importance of telling our own story. We've been, because of Ole Miss and the relationship with students and stuff there, we're always the subject of like a little small project or writing something or this and that. So there's been lots of articles and things that are told about it, but it's essential that we tell our own stories. And so even in all of the storytelling that happens, like working with Black writers and storytellers and photographers, like that starts to come out more. But working with Free and really just like interviewing our family, interviewing our community, bringing in historians, bringing in these Hill Country blues musicians to do the scoring, bringing in artists to do these portraits and portrayals of ancestors and different people that we're covering in the podcast. Like it's really going to be more of like a kind of multimedia kind of immersive experience. So really excited about what that's going to look like. We recently got this National Performance Network grant that requires you to collaborate with a couple of other partners. So we're excited to collaborate with Carpetbag Theater, that's based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and then Sip Culture, which is based out of Utica, Mississippi, and thinking about how do we create these experiences for telling these stories around Black lands and using like Foxfire as just one example, a starting place. And how do you create experiences that move people through? Because we host concerts, we host festivals, we have all of these relationships with so many wonderful artists who have supported us over the years, design shirts and flyers, and and they're just waiting and willing to contribute their talent. So stay tuned. I see something really beautiful that's going to come out of it. And right now, it is an audio offering as a podcast.
Yes.
So more to come. And it's so we are the Promised Land. Let's talk about the job.
Micah says it's fire. We gotta listen. Micah says fire. We definitely gotta listen. We about out of time. He's out of time. You know what I'm saying? We not past that hour mark.
Go fast.
I know it went by so fast, but look, listen, all of you guys, some of you guys may have just joined. We want to say thank you for joining All That and More.
Yes.
With the one and only Dr. MC Burns and myself, your favorite Gullah girl, Kyndra Joy. We had an amazing guest today, Sister Annette Hollowell, my queen of queens from, Foxfire? Foxfire Ranch. I was right the first time. Foxfire Ranch. And so we put inside the chant foxfireranch.com. Is that correct? Foxfireranch.com to go check it out. If you have checked it out, please go check it out. It is amazing. Black land liberation was the topic for today, and I'm telling you, like it needs to be more of the topic. Jessica, if you're still on here, Jessica Borderland always talks about having our own homes, owning our own land. She is an advocate in teaching youth that skill early on. And so it's people like you and Jessica and Nubian who got her own real estate stuff, that's making that possible, that Black liberation possible in land, because that's a whole nother thing, right? In land and ownership. So big ups to everybody. Big ups to Village Rising for having us again on another day.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
To the social community, thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thank you, community, for showing up. Is on. Uncle Cliff, what's up? We see you.
Yes.
Big ups to Liz, Jess, Snub,
Michael, Liz, Kincaid. All the people in the comments. If you didn't comment, we can't call your name.
But people who are listening. And so we want to say thank y'all so much, y'all.
Come on, Hannah, chillin', come on and shine with me. Come on, Hannah, chillin', why don't you shine with me? Come on, Gullah sisters, why don't you teach with me? Come on, Gullah Mara, why don't you pray with me? Come on, Gullah Father, why don't don't you stay with me? Come on, girl, love brother, why don't you dance with me?